Got another customer car in the shop today, this individual Fire Orange, beautiful, beautiful Fire Orange 2025 M4. And well, customer just picked it up, just brought it here. One of the first things they wanted done to it was to get a little bit of a drop and get some spacers, because this thing stock has quite a bit of fender gap, and not just fender gap height, also the wheels are sunk in. So we have some BimmerWorld 5x112 wheel spacers that are gonna go on it. And then to lower it, we've got a KW height adjustable system that we're gonna slap on this. And a couple other little things we're gonna do. We've got our precision front control arm bearings. And then to help protect some things here, we've got the Zunsport oil cooler grill. And then because we're gonna lower this thing down, and we know when we lower this and do spacers, it really reduces that fender liner clearance. We've got the Zunsport enhanced fender liner clearance grills. So we're gonna go ahead and pop open this KW box and see what we got in here. Pretty simple, straightforward install as it retains the stock dampers on this thing. So no coating requirements, no EDC cancellation requirements or anything. But you gotta pull the springs off and then pop on this height adjuster perch for the front, get your front springs. Rear's pretty straightforward because it's just really removing the rear shock to then get it drooped down so you can get the rear spring in and get this rear adjuster in. And well, we'll have this baby looking a little bit spicier here in no time. So let's dive right in. Got this baby up on a lift, and we gotta get this thing off, which means we're gonna take apart a bunch of this stuff, especially because it's all-wheel drive, to get it out and then get it replaced with this KW perch here, and then get that new spring on. Also gonna be replacing this joint here, and then gonna be cutting out this plastic fender liner to get the Zunsport grills in. So we got Daniel already working on it over here, so he's getting after it. I'm gonna get out of his hair and then come back after he's got a few things done. Little overview of this KW HAS system. An adjustable package, which, nice because now we can actually tailor in and dial in the ride height for what the customer wants. So got these adjusters front, adjusters rear, the spring package. Have some different bump stops here as well, which are stiffer than the factory ones as we're lowering the car down. And if we slam this thing a little bit, maybe we are gonna burn through the factory bump stops and need a little bit stiffer bump stop there to give a little bit more support. So this is still a super, super smooth riding system, but we'll get some impressions of that here after Daniel gets it installed. And yeah, he's gonna take it away. Got this side disassembled in the front. We've got this whole assembly out here, the strut, rotor, all the stuff, the spring, strut mount. And what we've got to do is detach this perch, which is like a press fit, onto the rest of the strut here so that we can replace that perch with the KW height adjuster and then get this baby reassembled and then get it reassembled in here and then get this thing lowered.
And then I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna put my foot in your if you say and then again.
First, you want to mark where the sway tab is lined up on the strut so that when you put the new perch on, you get it in the same location. So got us a little Sharpie mark there so we know where we're gonna go. Now that you got that marked, get you a dead blow hammer, start popping that perch off of the strut.
A few inches later.
Oh, you're there. There it is. We got the perch. All right, now we got our mark on this shock, and let's get the KW perch set on that bad boy. Rich is working on getting the precision front control arm bearing swapped out. So we need to press out this bushing from this arm, and Rich has turned this little old bearing housing into a nice little press tool to get this bushing out. We got Michael back here huddled up under the car, undoing some stuff in the rear, gonna get this rear shock out. So we can get this rear spring out, change the bump stop on the shock, and then get this baby placed back up in. Got us a spring. Maybe Michael can get us a shock. Let's see. There it is. All right, so I assume, yeah, you got to take this rear shock mount off so that you can change the bump stop, undo that connection for the EDC piece, and get that popped off, and get this bump stop swapped out, and then start getting it back together. There's a little ridge on this bump stop that this dust boot sets into, so you got to configure and get that thing on there. But Michael's about to pop this baby back in. We got this side assembled and all together, spring adjuster, strut back in place. Also got the precision front control arm bearing in place. Worth noting, this is an all-wheel drive car. That precision front bearing fits both all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive G8X cars. So, Daniel trucking along on this side. I think he's actually getting pretty close up in there. Yeah, we got the arm on this side in too. Just waiting on Michael to get this back corner done. But this corner is actually in place as well already. Got the new stiffer bump stop in the rear. Got the adjuster up there, rear spring. So it seems like we'll be setting this baby back down on the ground here in no time. The boys are wrapping this thing up, getting close to putting it back down on the ground. See how it looks. Got everything torqued down. Speaking of torque, there's a number of one-time use bolts on this thing, but none more important than this bolt right here. This is the axle bolt that has to be replaced. Don't reuse that thing. We also have a full package of hardware for replacing all that one-time use stuff. Oh, he got the big boy torque wrench out. Look at that thing. That is a 3/4 inch thing. Yeah, that's a doozy. This baby requires a fair amount of torque. 210 Newton meters, and then we gotta go 90 degrees. So he just marked that baby at 90, or on his point so he knows how far to go. Daniel got that honking torque wrench. I wonder how much that torque wrench costs.
More than you can afford, pal.
I mean, that thing's serious. Michael about to add this Zunsport oil cooler grill, real simple install. You just pop out a screw on each side and then add a couple screws back here. As we know, that oil cooler is super exposed from the factory, so adding a little protection to that bad boys. Getting these Zunsport enhanced clearance fender liner grills installed right here. As when you lower these things and add spacers, it just really gets into this area. The tire starts digging into this area and banging up the vent louvers that were here from the factory. You can see how far they stick out and how far these Zunsport clearance push back that allow you to not bang up your fender liner and also keep that protection for your cooler. Interesting note, got the GT4 right here. They got these things from Motorsport right on them. So yeah, get these Zunsport grills and make your car a race car. Checking toe on this bad boy after we got the suspension installed and got it on scales. Wanted to see what this thing weighs. Fluctuating around a little bit because they're messing with it. 3980 is what it was sitting at static, which is certainly no lightweight car, but these all-wheel drive versions of these things add a bit extra weight all around, so it is a little bit heavy. The cross I think is pretty solid though, 50.1, so that's good. Time to get the strings off of this thing, go take it for a test drive.
All right, Phil, what do we got going on here?
Test drive time. We are driving around, making sure everything feels good on this post-install, no clunks, make sure it's driving straight, and everything is feeling really good. So solid work on the install process, pretty straightforward, but also this thing just feels really good after putting that height adjustable system on here. If you've ever ridden in one of these things or driven one of these things, the stock springs are actually fairly harsh. So it feels like those KWHAS springs have taken a tinge of that harshness out, and also we've got that BimmerWorld precision front control arm bearing up front that kind of helps tighten up the front end. So really overall, this thing is feeling really, really good now. Also looks really, really good now. You know, got rid of some of that 4x4 status, got it lowered down at a nice aggressive looking ride height, not too low that it's going to be obnoxious on the street, and then also added those BimmerWorld spacers to help get it spaced out. Also did the Zunsport grills, the oil cooler grill, and those fender liner grills for some extra protection. So yeah, I'm feeling good about where this thing is now, ready to get this thing handed off to the customer and hope that he enjoys it as well, which I'm sure he will. You want to see more stuff like this, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that like button, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. How's my hair?
Pretty as always.
Perfect.
Ready to go?
Should be an awesome race weekend.
We are ready to kill it this year.
It's good.
It's gonna be a wild ride.